Just going to give a little bit of time for people to pile into this. So it's news about Tommy, and I wasn't going to do a live stream today. I said that the last 2 days, but again, a lot's going on at the minute. So let me just wait till some people jump in. I just want to make sure this is live on all the different channels. So if you're watching already, just bear with me a couple of seconds. There we go. Okay, 5 watching on the Richard Inman channel. Let's see if we've got anyone else on the other one. Okay. Just keep sharing this, guys, because this is, well, it's breaking news to me, but then again, I've been very busy today, so maybe it's not breaking news to anybody else. But there's just something that's really worried me about a tweet that went out a couple of hours ago about Tommy, and I just want you to see what you think about this. But let me, okay, is that working on that one? Yeah, that's streaming as well. Okay, guys, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play this very small segment of this tweet, because this is what's really worrying me. Hi guys, by the way, I should have just stayed there. I could have checked that everybody was watching, couldn't I? But thanks for everyone piling in. Share this everywhere that you can. Bear with me. I want to play this very short clip. There's an audio that's been shared of Tommy speaking from inside the prison on the Tommy Robinson page. But this is the bit that really, really worries me, and this is why I know it's a bit of a clickbaity headline, but there's a reason I've put it up there, because I'm very concerned. But let's just hear what Tommy's got to say about this. So just bear with me while I flick across and play this audio, and let me know that you can hear this. Okay, guys, I can repeat what he said, but let me know you can hear this.
Letting you know, yeah. And the prison will let me go tomorrow. I was meant to go tomorrow. Prison will let me go, and this comes down from government ministers blocked it.
Yeah.
The prison told me you're going home tomorrow. I've already been told. I've done all the paperwork. I've done everything to be released. Now I'll go next week. So 5th of June, I've been told 5th of June I'll be in court. Then it's going to go to Crown Court, Suffolk, where they remand me till then, which will be 24th of July or something like that. I think it'll be the end of July. And then it'll be trial. But I think they'll already be getting lawyers and that, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just play that again one more time, guys. Yeah, because I think it's quite important. Get it right to good right position.
Well, let me go tomorrow. I was meant to go tomorrow. Prison will let me go, and this comes down from government ministers blocked it.
Yeah.
The prison told me you're going home tomorrow. I've already been told. I've done all the paperwork. I've done everything to be released. Now I'll go next week. So 5th of June till then, which will be 24th of July or something like that. I think it'll be the end of July. And then it'll be trial. But I think they'll already be getting lawyers and that, yeah.
So that's that. I find that quite worrying. Let me know what your thoughts are on that, because what concerns me is, okay, he was meant to be released this week, so he was told he's going home. The government intervened to stop him being released. Why would they do that? And what concerns me is, are they going to jump in and try and remand him next week? Is that why they're delaying it? Are they trying to do something in the background legally? Again, I don't know. And obviously, he's probably not thinking about all these things. I'm getting out next week, so it's a weekend. Get the weekend over and then see what happens. But let me know in the comments what you think, guys, because to me, there's something very sinister going on here. And again, we can't comment on the case itself, and obviously, we're not going to put our necks in that noose, or I'm not going to put my neck in that noose unnecessarily. But what we can say for sure is that this man has been subject to lawfare by the British state, not just under the Labour government. We're all jumping and shouting about Keir Starmer, and quite rightly so, because he's the worst of the lot. He's the lowest of the low. I mean, I don't know if you saw what he put out about what was happening in Gaza, basically demanding that the Israelis surrender to a terrorist state. And isn't it embarrassing that a terrorist organization, i.e. Hamas, is bigging up Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, and whatever that globalist puppet in Canada's called? Absolutely scandalous. But if this has come from the government, This should concern us, and we need to be ready. We need to be ready if the worst happens and he gets remanded next week. Because to me, what they're doing with this man is they are this is now mental torture. You imagine he's coming out to see his family. You know, he hasn't seen his kids seen his kids free from the prison confines since October of last year. And he's about to get out. He's told it's delayed until after the weekend. This is what worries me. What are they going to do next week? Are there going to be any more surprises? Why have they delayed it? Doesn't make any sense unless they're trying to do something in the background to keep him in. And that's what I find extremely worrying. Now, I don't think, will they be able to do that? Let's hope not. Let's hope legally they can't do that. But with this government, you wouldn't know. And again, the same with Lucy Connolly. I mean, Lucy Connolly, if that doesn't pull at our heartstrings, that woman who lost a child, I didn't realize it was only last year, apparently, that she lost a child. And again, it seems that it was due to NHS mistakes or malpractice of some sort. And she's locked up. She gets time. And paedophiles like Hugh Edwards don't even see a prison cell. There's something going very, very badly wrong in this country. There's something going disgusting and desperately wrong in this country. And this isn't just 2-tier. This is 3-tier policing now, because you've got one tier of justice for the elites like Hugh Edwards. You've got one tier of justice for the preferred demographic, as Jeff Taylor calls them. We all know what I'm talking about. And then you got, in fact, it's 4. Then you got one tier for plebs like me, and then you got another tier for Tommy, where they're just going to create charges out of nothing. And again, I'm not talking about the case that he's been charged with at the minute, but the case he has. But what we can say about the case he's been charged with at the minute, we can say this without prejudicing the case in one iota. We can say there's a 10-year prison sentence for this crime, this alleged crime, this whatever it is, 10-year prison sentence. Can you imagine? You just about get released and they drop it on you. Oh, by the way, you could be going to prison for 10 years in June. And of course, he's going to take it to Crown Court and so on and so forth. The reality is, it is just to keep him out of the way. That's all they're doing. And I put this squarely at the feet of the Commissar of Downing Street, the chief of the Stasi, the chief of the KGB. You know, that I said it a few times yesterday on the stream, but I'm going to say it again. That saying that show me the man and I'll find you the crime. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. And to me, our judiciary is completely compromised. It's stacked. You can tell by the way they're sentencing people. It's stacked with people who have an inherent hatred of the white British working class. And who are these people with a hatred of the white British working class? The elites, the liberal elite, predominantly white. So it's not even a race thing. It's they hate them lot. You know, it's like what Richard Tice calls us, that lot. They hate that lot. Keir Starmer, Yvette Cooper, all of these people have a loathing for the white working class. Do you remember Thornbury? Was it Emily Thornbury? Is that what they call her? And some guy had I was going to say Red Hand of Ulster, an England flag outside his house. And she mocked it. And she castigated him. And again, she had to apologize, as far as I remember. That's what we're up against. We're up against an establishment that hates us. Keir Starmer said he'd rather be in Davos than in the British Parliament. What a disgrace. They are globalists. They don't only hate us, they hate our country. They hate our history. They hate our heritage. And they hate the fact that the British working class have not been brainwashed with all the garbage that people are getting pumped into them in university. Your taxi driver, your joiner, your bricklayer. They don't care. They don't care about the woke stuff. They laugh at it. They mock it. They think it's pathetic. But the liberal elite, they thrive on it. And they want to impose it on every single one of us. So I think we've got to be very, 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 very careful. I think the red hand of, but I like that. I like that. Who's put that? The red hand of the borough, Rich. Come on. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. We shall never surrender. No, we won't surrender. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting. Starmer is by far the worst. I think so. I think that without a doubt. Starmer is without doubt the worst prime minister that we've ever had. Now, again, I haven't spoken to Tommy's team at all about this, so I'm literally just going from that clip that they put out on Twitter. So I don't have any background to that, so I can't give any background. But I am worried about it, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope that that Tommy does get out next week. But I think if he's remanded, we need to seriously think about demonstrations up and down the country. I'll certainly be talking to the lads that we do demos with over here, because I think it's absolutely imperative that if the government are going to try this on, if they're going to try and pull a fast one next week and keep them in, that we're ready and we say, right, well, we'll peacefully and legally get out on the streets and start doing the right thing and making our voices heard, because I think we can be too passive. And I'm not on about doing anything illegal or anything violent, but we can be too passive and we can just go, oh, well, it doesn't make any difference. No, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. If you have tens of thousands of people peacefully taken to the streets in towns and cities up and down the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, right the way throughout the UK, you have tens of thousands of people taking the street. There's a cost involved in that. The police have to police it. It's legal. It's legitimate. There's nothing wrong with it. And also gives people an outlet for any anger they're feeling. But I think if that happens next week, we need to very quickly put the foot on the gas and say, right, we need to get out here and we need to make a protest that's going to get noticed. Legal, legitimate, non-violent protest. That's what we've got to do. And if that's what we have to do, then that's what we'll have to do. Richard, we need to sit and stay. Well, we've done a lot of sitting and staying, to be honest with you. I like that. I like that. Standing in silence. I like that. I think that's a really good idea. I mean, look, we're not talking about doing anything illegal or anything violent. We're not talking about doing anything. I don't want anyone want to go to prison because of a protest. But I think we have to take some sort of action. We have to do something. As long as it's peaceful, as long as it's legal and legitimate, there's no problem. If you're, there we go. What's that? Kneecap gig at 100 Club in London tomorrow. Be a shame. Well, do you know what? I'm going to say something about that, right? And this might shock a few of you, but I think we've got to be consistent about the kneecap thing, right? Now, obviously, I believe he's been arrested and charged with showing, I think, a Hezbollah flag or something like that. I despise Hezbollah. I despise Hamas. I've always despised the provisional IRA and any format of the IRA all my life. That's the way I've been. But for somebody to get arrested and charged with waving a flag, I don't feel comfortable with that. I'll be honest with you. And, you know, obviously it's quite rightly a criminal offence to glorify terrorist organisations, and I get all that, but I don't feel comfortable. Thanks for that, Yam. I'm an autistic surfer, suffer with severe anxiety, depression. I'm a self-harmer. This lot is making it worse. Well, Yam, I know you've come to faith recently. Do you know what? It might even be an idea unplugging from stuff, getting into some prayer, get with some other Christians, read your Bible. You know, watch some good positive Christian stuff on watch some Christian stuff on YouTube or on sermon audio or something like that. Because again, the whole point of me doing these live streams is to give people hope, because I believe we can do things legally, legitimately. We can vote. We can do things like the pledge. We can get strong in our faith. We can build our communities. We can build our families. We can do a lot of positive stuff. Listen, the thing, I'll tell you the other thing as well, Yam. A lot of people are suffering. I know there's a lot of people suffering. A lot of people I know are suffering and going through really, really hard times. So you're not on your own. And again, obviously, we can't help everybody, but this is a community, and if you come on here and it helps you by coming on and expressing yourself on here, then by all means do that. But it's anything that that I would suggest is get into your Bible and get into watching some good quality Christian content on the internet. Right, okay, let's move on. I agree with Silent March rhetoric. Yeah, I mean, something like that. If thousands of people turned up with homemade Free Tommy posters all over the country, if he doesn't get out. Now, obviously, again, I could be reading way more into this than I should be, but I think we've got to be just prepared. Hopefully, I'm completely wrong. I'm a bit pessimistic and negative at the minute, but hopefully, I'm completely wrong. But even if he gets out, which hopefully he will, if he gets out, then I think we've got to basically say, okay, he's got out. Let's just be on our guard, because we know he's got these other charges coming up, and we've got to start making, I think, noise in a peaceful way. And you can even make noise by being silent. I mean, whenever the girls were murdered last year, one of the suggestions was, and I thought it was an excellent suggestion, it never happened, that people had candlelit vigils across the country. Because again, it's very difficult for the police to come in with water cannon and batons if you're having a candlelit vigil. And it's a lot more powerful. When people riot, there's a lot of people in the comments the other night talking about rioting. When you riot, we lose the argument and we lose the battle. The best way to do this, the best way to make your voices heard and to make your protest legitimate and have impact, is to do it in mass numbers and peacefully. Mass numbers and peacefully. That's the best way of doing it. Yam, no problem. Listen, I do appreciate that, Yam. And again, to me, if it wasn't for the Bible and for Christianity, I don't know where I'd be, and I've just been honest, and what I know, when I've drifted away from that, I've had all sorts of problems. When I'm reading the word and I'm praying and I'm seeking God, still got the problems, but they're easy to deal with, if that makes sense. So, that's all I can suggest, Yam. And again, it's an honor to have you, coming on the channel. That's why I'm keeping doing this. I can't stop doing this when I know there's people like you there, Yam, and other people that have messaged me privately. When I was going through a difficult time a few months ago, the amount of people that messaged me and said, don't stop what you're doing, because what you're doing has stopped me from doing something stupid, if that makes any sense. Because we are giving people hope. We are encouraging people. We are saying to people, there's a way out of this, but, we need to be on it. I was talking to a guy today. I'm not going to say his name. A friend of mine. He's very heavily involved in reform, very, very politically active, very, very good guy. And he basically, we were talking about reform, and obviously everybody knows my position on reform and the concerns I have about reform. Now they're sitting, I think he was saying they're sitting at about 30% of the polls. And I said, look, that's great. I says, that's fantastic that you're sitting at 30% of the polls. I says, but the issue is, unless there is a massive team ready to take everything on, let's say Reform won the next general election, and even if they have a big majority, if they don't have a team in place ready to do what Elon Musk did and what Trump's doing in America, and Trump's getting loads of pushback from the judiciary. So there needs to be, you need such a deep team of lawyers and barristers and legal experts and military experts and policing experts and people that can deal with the civil service and gut the civil service and people that can get rid of the quangos. There needs to be, you need a great repeal act. There's so much needs to be done. And I just don't see Reform having the ability to do that on their own. This is my point. This is what I keep saying. And that's why, and as crazy as it may sound, that's why I keep going back to the pledge and saying, if we get a critical mass in the pledge, again, 100,000 would be great, 1 million would be better. But if we get a massive amount of people signing that pledge, we're then in a position where we can turn around and go, okay, we've got all these people in these areas. If you don't sign up to the principles in the pledge, which would transform the country, because the politicians that sign up to it would be certainly morally bound, and there might be a way to make them legally bound to actually carry out what the pledge says. If the politicians don't do that, they certainly get kicked out at the next election, and they get a hard time. Obviously, nothing illegal, but they get a hard time with emails in their inbox saying, "Why haven't you wanted what you said you signed up to in the pledge?" And I think that's a massive part of what can change the country. And again, we've got Ben, we've got Rupert, we've got UKIP, we've got the SDP, we've got certain members of the Tory party who I think are okay, right? I don't trust them. I mean, you know, the lefties have got one thing right: never trust a Tory. That's pretty much where I'm at. We've seen what they did in 14 years. They just behaved like the left. You know, they were the most woke, progressive, supposedly right-wing party I've ever seen in my life. But we can actually do something with what we've got in our hands at the minute. The tools of the job are there. We've got the pledge. We've got political parties. We've got some very, very prominent members. We just need some way of pulling everything together. And I think part of the reason that the state are keeping Tommy in prison, because he's one of the people that could pull everything together. He's the one that pulled together the Uniting the Kingdom rallies. Wasn't anybody else. It was Tommy. Yes, we did stuff in the background, but he's the face of it. He's the main driver. And that could well be a reason why they're trying to keep him in. And of course, all this stuff bogs us down in legal jargon and legal stuff, and it's a distraction from the main fight, which is basically having the only way we're going to get out of this. And you know, there's all this, you know, talk about, do you do activism or do you do politics? Well, you do both. And the reality is that activism is politics and politics is activism. So the only way we're going to get out of this is we're going to vote our way out of it. That's the only way it's going to happen. And, you know, because we really, I mean, if there's a lot of people talk about civil war and talk about revolution, all this, I really don't want any part of that, because the truth of the matter is that is a certain and sure way to fill plenty of body bags and plenty of prison cells and completely destroy your country. So we've got to do this in a peaceful manner. We've got to do it legitimately. We've got to do it through the ballot box. We've got to ballot box. We've got to do it through street protests. We've got to do it through every means available at our hands. And if we do that, then we've got a chance. I'm going to read some more of these comments, guys. So I apologize when I'm doing this without my glasses on. It's very difficult, and I want to look at the camera, not at the screen all the time. So, okay. Oh, good man. Yeah, I'm out. Let's see here. I think the issues in the Labour Party, anti-Semitism, grooming against public. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you know the issue with the with Starmer and Macron and the weirdo that was the head of the Bank of England, what's his name, Carney? Those guys have basically given Hamas so much succor and so much of a PR and a morale boost. And then the day after they announced that, two messianic Christians or Jewish Christians are shot in Washington D.C. in the capital. These guys are working at the embassy. This is absolutely disgusting, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it, and I just think it's unbelievable. I'm starting to read the Bible. I got lost at the beginning. So my little sister was taking about finally at 26. Now I'm lost. Do you know what, Janet? What I would say to you, right? If you're reading the Bible is not an easy book to read. Okay, and the best thing to do when you're reading the Bible is ask God to help you when you're reading the Bible. Now I'm going to point you, Janet, to the middle of the Bible, to the book of Psalms, right? The book of Psalms is written for people who are suffering from heartbreak. Believe you me, if you're suffering from heartbreak and you read in those Psalms, every single emotion that you feel will be in the pages of the book of Psalms. Also, if I could suggest that you go to John's Gospel, which is in the New Testament, so it's the fourth Gospel in the New Testament, and read through John's Gospel and just read it slowly. And also, when you're reading through the Bible, if you just start at the beginning and read right through, okay, that works for some people. But again, it is an extremely, Christianity is an extremely simple and yet complex religion. And one of the things that I think is really helpful with Christianity compared with any other ideology or any other religion. We believe in it, that the creator, that God himself, who made everything and holds everything together, we believe that God became a human being, became a man, and suffered exactly the same way that human beings suffered, and more, and way more, at the crucifixion. Now, if it stopped there, it would be hopeless. But it doesn't stop at the crucifixion, because the Bible's very clear that Jesus rose from the dead. And that might sound crazy, but when we have those comforting facts that God understands everything about suffering, because God became a man and suffered in our place, so to speak, that gives great hope. So, Janet, I hope that helps. And it's great that you believe, but try and read the Bible slowly, and definitely go to the Book of Psalms, and definitely go to the Gospel of John and just read through the Gospel of John slowly. Because I think it's the nicest. I mean, of course, I'm not going to say that any gospel's better than any other, but it's the gospel I prefer. I love the Gospel of John, and yeah. So hope that helps, Janet. And again, bless you for coming on and sharing that. Charlie Kirk knows what's happening, and we'll let them know when you get back. So, well, I hope so. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know much about Charlie Kirk. And I'm sure he doesn't know anything about me. But Charlie Kirk seemed to be really, really shocked by what he saw. He said he felt oppressed when he was in the United Kingdom, and man, I get that, because there is an oppressive atmosphere. When I'm talking, when I'm speaking, I'm speaking deliberately slowly, because I know that if I make one slip up, one thing said wrong, then my door's coming up the hall. I know that. Now, that is not a free society in a free country. And the other problem is the platforms are part of the problem as well, because the platforms are basically, sorry about that. The platforms are basically, let's try and get a, guys, there's the email should be the ones getting charged here. Try and get, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but, oh, sorry, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, D-mail should be the ones getting charged. TR has more of an argument as they docked his kids. Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, the reality is that what's happening. I think what's happening with Tommy is it seems like every time he gets his head above water, the government puts a big boot on top of his head and pushes him under. That's what it seems like to me every time. And okay, the pledge. Okay, if you go to, actually, do you know what, Michael? I've got some printed up business cards for the pledge. Are you looking to hand things out? I don't know. This is the problem with. I tell you what, if you can go onto my Twitter and DM me on Twitter, Michael. Yeah, if you can jump onto my Twitter page and DM me through, because my DMs are open, so anybody can send me a direct message on Twitter. Send me a direct message on Twitter. You'll find me under Richard Inman, I think it is. And yeah, just send me a DM and I'll try and find out if we can get some cards to you, Michael. Because if you want to send stuff out, we can do that. We do have a QR code somewhere, and I can probably scan something and put it either on the website. By the way, I just want to check the new Counter Media website should be ready soon. We can't let people sign up yet. It's basically, yeah, the Counter Media website's there, but nobody can sign up yet, so there's probably no point in going to see it. But it's there in its sort of very, very basic form. So that is countermedia.co.uk. So if you want to go and have a look at that, feel free. Okay, let's keep going through these comments. JD Vance needs, let's look at this one. JD Vance needs to get involved and ask Trump to intervene. JD Vance needs to speak to Trump again to force Starmer to let him go now. I also sent Tommy a Hero Award trophy to cheer him. That's brilliant. You see, all that sort of stuff. The love that's been shown in our community to not just to Tommy, but I was thinking about my friend Shohab that I had on the channel the other night. I don't know if any of you saw the live stream. We did 2 hours with Shohab the other night, and it was really good content. And he's got a lot to say, and he's a very, very interesting young lad. And the love that we got towards Shohab You know, all these people that say we're bigots and we're Islamophobes and all the rest of it. Well, what's happening with Shoaib is he's a Muslim, and he's proud to say he's a Muslim. He's not denying his faith. I disagree with him on his faith. He knows that, but he comes on the channel and he's talking about his faith. He was arrested by not by Prevent. He was reported to Prevent and then arrested by the police for Islamophobia and racism. And he's Muslim, and he's the same race as the people that he was supposedly racist against. This is absolutely insanity. It's absolutely Orwellian. It doesn't make sense. But that's what we're working with, and that's what we're looking at. If an illegal broke in their hill, absolutely right. Yeah, John, do you know what? I agree with that. And maybe I'm just wanting perfection. But I think the truth of the matter is, yes, thanks, Claire Bear. There's also a Facebook page for the pledge. What I'll do next time I do a stream, because I'm not prepared for it tonight, because I just jumped on this really quickly and I've got to shoot off in 15 minutes because I've got to go and meet some people for our little demo, our little Friday night demo. By the way, if you're watching from Northern Ireland and if you're anywhere near Bangor, I always pronounce it wrong because it just sounds, because I'm English, I say Bangor. Apparently it's not the way to pronounce it. But anyway, if you're near Bangor, as all the posh Bangorians would call it, if you're near Bangor, come down at 7 o'clock to the Marine Court Hotel. We've been doing a protest there for two and a half years now, and it would be great to see you. And I've had loads of people from the channel come down. So if you're in the area, pop by and say hello. And obviously it'd be great to make up the numbers. Yeah, okay. The criminals are running the show. You're absolutely right. That's absolutely true. We are absolutely being run by criminals and liars and deceivers. It's absolutely horrendous. The Bible is alive. Its words are life eternal. Absolutely right, John Mack. I agree with that 100%. Writing plays right into the establishment's hands. They are desperate to label the United Kingdom movement as a terrorist organization based on language using civil service publications. Absolutely right. This is the whole thing. This is why anything we do, and I protest all the time. Anytime there's a protest in Northern Ireland that's relevant to what we're doing, I'm at it if I can be, right? So the truth of the matter is that once we cross the line into violence, we've lost the argument. And you're far better being on the other end of a truncheon, getting beaten by the police and not resisting, than fighting back and getting involved in violence. And when I started this in 2017 with the veterans, and I joined that group, Veterans Against Terrorism, basically my pastor said to me at the time, he said, Rich, he says, don't do it like Ian Paisley, do it like Martin Luther King Jr. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with Ian Paisley, right? But, and if I actually knew Ian Paisley, and he was a nice man, but the reality is Martin Luther King Jr. won the civil rights movement. Now, he paid for it with his life. And that's the cost that some of us will have to pay. There's no doubt about that. And once you step into this, you've got to be prepared to pay with your own blood. But the reality is I'm not prepared to pay with somebody else's blood. I'm not interested in doing this in a violent way. It's got to be peaceful. It's got to be passive. And sometimes there's been a lot of provocation and we've all got angry and we've all maybe said things we regretted, or we've thought things that we regret thinking. But I firmly believe that as things stand, we can still win this peacefully. But I think we've only got 4 years to do it. I think we've got to win this next election. And again, because of my feelings on reform, I'm very, very worried about what we're going to have to stand against the current establishment. But let's see what happens. To me, there needs to be a coming together of all these political forces. There needs to be a coming together of all the political parties. And there needs to be a very, very smart and intelligent set of people ready to take the reins of power. And again, let's use the pledge as the rallying call to bring everybody together. That's my dream. That's my vision. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. Well, that's my dream. My dream is that the pledge will be used to bring all these streams of people together and to win our country back. I'm going to look at more of the comments, and then we'll maybe do till 6 o'clock, and then I'll shoot off because I've got to go down to this protest. Okay. I would start with KJV and begotten. Okay. Hate. Well, that's an interesting thought, which I wouldn't disagree with. Okay, what's the book of Psalms? Absolutely is. Absolutely is, Martin. And there's a friend of mine who I pray with on a regular basis, and he is a Jewish Christian. He's ethnically Jewish, and he was Jewish all his life. He went to the synagogue, and he read the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, 52 and 53. He read Psalm 22, and he looked at those verses in the Bible, particularly Psalm 22, and this is why the Psalm's so important. Psalm 22, and he realized that that was talking about Jesus Christ. In the King James Version, it says, they pierced my hands and my feet. Now, this was written, I don't know, 1,500 years before the crucifixion, maybe more. And he was converted. That and Isaiah 53, the suffering servant passage, who's believed our report, to whom of the arm of the Lord's been revealed. That passage in the scripture that talks about the suffering of Christ, talks about him bearing our transgressions and bearing our sicknesses. So that's how powerful the Bible is. And I'm not going to say the guy's name, but this friend of mine, he prayed in Aramaic a couple of weeks ago. And Aramaic is the language that Jesus spoke. Jesus spoke, we believe, Aramaic and Hebrew, okay, but definitely Aramaic. And he spoke in Aramaic, and of course he spoke in Hebrew as well, which is, it's amazing to actually hear those ancient languages and realize that they're the languages that the Lord actually spoke in. I don't know how it all works out when you get to heaven, whether you have a divine translator and you can understand everything. I'm a bit flippant there, but the reality is Jesus didn't speak in King James English. He spoke in Aramaic and probably Hebrew. And to hear my ex-Jewish friend, I don't know what you call it, he was still Jewish, but he's a Jewish Christian, to hear him talking in the language that Jesus spoke in was just mind-blowing for me. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Reform want to privatize the NHS. Never vote for them. Trump is a bad man. Okay, right. I don't know what you're getting at there, but yeah, okay. There we go. Bess, nailing it. Let's sign the pledge. And again, Bess, thanks for what you're doing on the admin. Claire, thanks for what you're doing on the admin and keeping baddies away from the page. It's really appreciated. The elites hate the elite. Oh, Brett, how are you, brother? The elites hate Tommy because he's a focal point of patriotism and inspires others. We must all unite to pray for him now more than ever. That's absolutely right. I agree with that. Do you know what we could do with next week? If he's getting out Monday or Tuesday, I think we need. Well, I'm not telling anyone what to do. Here's a suggestion. Why don't we have a time of prayer and fasting next week? All the Christians, if you're not a Christian, obviously you just think I'm completely mad talking about this stuff, and there's Richard, he's lost his head again. But if you're a believer, why not have a time of prayer and fasting, not just for Tommy, but for all the political prisoners and for the political situation? So you could mix it up between Monday and Wednesday and pick a time where you just say, okay, well, I'm going to miss lunch, I'm going to miss breakfast, I'm going to pray instead, I'm going to read my Bible and pray the Psalms, and have a time of prayer and fasting for our land, for the political prisoners, specifically for Tommy, specifically for the political leaders, and just for everything that's going on, because I think that's what we need. I know what you're saying, Rich. I've had two messages plugged out so far and haven't been saying anything. I know you're not, John. But listen, I suppose it's better to be overzealous than to let some of the really bad stuff go through, John. So guys, if you're censoring John Capone, just leave him alone a bit, unless he's saying something really bad, and then you can ban him. Oh man, I'm only joking. But no, it's better to be overzealous than let some bad stuff through. But I get what you're saying, John. Right, okay. Jesus was created by the Holy Spirit, overshadowed by God. Well, Jesus wasn't created. Jesus was and always has been God. Okay. Annie, who are you voting? Well, where I live, I'm my local MP is a friend of mine. He's an independent unionist, and again, obviously, because he's a mate, I vote for him because he's got some, he gets what we're doing and he supports what we're doing with our protests. He's intervened in the background for Tommy. Yeah, he's a good guy. So that's who I'll be voting for, my independent unionist candidate. But obviously, this is where the pledge comes in. Every single area. Actually, I'll be talking to my friend about signing the pledge. Every single area really needs to look at who they've got standing in that specific area, and that's why I keep saying we've got to be very, very careful about just saying, well, reform's the only show in town. 4 years is a long time in politics, and there's a lot of banana skins in the way. And there's a lot of stuff that could go massively, massively badly wrong. So let's just see what happens. The problem is with these comments, by the way, guys, I have to, even with my glasses on, I have to put them on the screen to be able to read them. So sometimes if I put something up there, I might not necessarily believe in it. But let me just have a look here and see what this one says. It could be a spicy one. Sitting back and waiting for God to sort this out is ridiculous. Yeah, I thought it'd be a spicy one. You're aware that Christianity, well, actually, they're not praying to the same deity. It's impossible for Christianity and Islam to be praying to the same deity. The false god of Islam is Allah. The god of Christianity is Jesus Christ. The Islam does not believe that Jesus Christ is God, and doesn't believe in the deity of Christ, doesn't believe in the Trinity, and doesn't believe in the atonement or the resurrection. So, Mr. Atheist, you're completely wrong on that. Go and do some research. Come back when you've done the research. We can maybe get you on. I'm going to do a debate actually, because I promised John Capone that I would do a debate or a session, a live stream about faith, about atheism, about why I don't believe in atheists. And I will do that sometime. It's getting the time to do it because, again, you've got to prepare and you've got to get a couple of good people on that can give opposite points of view. But no. Muslims don't believe that Jesus Christ is God. They don't believe in the atonement. They don't believe in the resurrection. Therefore, it's impossible for us to be worshipping the same God. So, sorry about that, old son. Trump will not help us. I agree with that. Anyone that's waiting for Trump to what's he going to do? Send in the 101st Airborne Division? Trump's not going to do anything. He might say things. There might be back channels talking to Keir Starmer, but Trump has got a lot on his plate. How about banging our pots and pans like we did for the NHS at a given day? That sounds like a good idea, Ron, actually. That sounds like we could go on a demo with the pots and pans. That'd make a right racket, wouldn't it? See, we've got something over here that you guys haven't got in England. We've got the lambeg drum. So we could get a lambeg drummer to make some noise for Tommy if they don't let him out. Tommy Robinson, Ant Middleton, and Rupert Lowe should be leaders of Britain. I don't really have a problem with that. I think that would be a good team. I'm seriously concerned for Tommy's safety this weekend. This government, I think so. I mean, you wouldn't know what they would do. To be brutally honest with you, you wouldn't know what this government would do. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what they're going to be up to? Yeah, it's certainly not good that they're doing this. Yeah, listen, absolutely. Like I said earlier, we had Shohab on earlier on in the week. Great guy. He's a Muslim. He's quite happy to say he's a Muslim. I'm not against Muslim people. I've always said this. I say this very, very clearly. I believe in the God of the Bible. Okay, I'm a Christian believer. I'm pretty rubbish at it, but I believe it all. Okay. So because I believe that, I can't believe in Islam in the same way a Muslim couldn't believe in Christianity. And if you have someone who's a genuine Muslim, they're not going to say they believe in Christianity, not if they're being genuine and sincere. And I'm exactly the same with Islam. I don't believe Islam is true. I believe it's a fake religion. But does that mean I hate Muslims? Absolutely not. Quite the opposite. And I've said this the other day. Show up is a fake Muslim. Oh, come on. Oh man, I mean, dear, at all, he's apostate. He's scared to say. Okay. Well, listen, I think Shohab knows what he is, right? I'll agree with that. Shohab knows what he is, and if Shohab says he's a Muslim, then I'm going to believe he's a Muslim. In the same way, if someone in the comments says they're a Christian, I'm going to believe they're a Christian. It's up to them whether they want to. No, of course, Islam isn't a race. Islam is a religion. Islam is a religion. That's why you have white Muslims, you have brown Muslims, you have yellow Muslims, you have all sorts of different color Muslims. The same way you have white Christians, you have brown Christians. It's a religion, but it is not worshipping the same deity that the Christians worship. Christians worship the triune God of the Bible, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And obviously, we believe that Jesus Christ died for our sins. The Muslims do not believe that, and that's the difference. Okay. Test vote green. No thanks. No, not a fan of gay communists. Oh man, yeah. Let's have a look. What's this one? Okay, there are some sects who are okay. Sufism. Look, the reality is, I'm not going to attack Muslims, but what I will do is say I don't believe that Islam is true, and that's my position on it. It's not. I'm not anti-Muslim people at all. I am anti extremism. I'm anti-jihadists. I'm anti-Islamists. 100%. I'm not against Muslim people, and in fact, well, I've told this story before, but years ago, when I've been doing this for a little while, and there was a Muslim man in the office I worked in, and he was on a disciplinary, and to be honest with you, as far as I could see, he'd been bullied, he'd been the subject of religious abuse, and then he was the one that ended up in the disciplinary, and the managing director of the company, basically because of my stance on Islam, he decided he would have me doing the disciplinary. I was one of the managers. He'd have me doing the disciplinary. Well, I went into the disciplinary, looked at all the evidence, said this man is completely innocent. He hasn't done anything wrong. This can't go anywhere, and I'm not going to have anything to do with it if it does go anywhere. I didn't stay in the company very long after that. Let me put it that way. But so right's right and wrong's wrong. And this guy was been discriminated against, I believe, because he was a Muslim, and he was being picked on and bullied because he was a Muslim. And because of my stance with standing with Tommy and standing up when there was a terrorist attacks in 2017, the company thought I would be the right manager to take the case. Well, obviously, they didn't realize that I thought truth was more important than being sectarian in any way. So anyway, little story there. It's not massively relevant, but okay. What else we got here? Yeah, exactly. They want us to kick off. That's why they're doing it. Absolutely what they want, and that's why we need to stand up peacefully and do something in a peaceful manner, because otherwise it's just going to turn out to be a disaster. Writing will play into the establishment's hands. But how on earth are we going to make any? Well, it's about patience. We will make progress if we stick at what we're doing, and we do it in a very measured and sensible way. Okay, what else have we got here? A lot of balls. The establishment understand one thing, and that's violence. It was proved in Northern Ireland. Watch anyone who's against it. Snakes. Well, there you go, Paul. You obviously think I'm a snake, but I'm not. And it's all right sitting in the comments calling for violence. Okay, you're sitting in the comments calling for violence. Well, it's not your door that gets kicked in, is it? You can do that anonymously. And I served in Northern Ireland during the Troubles and lived in Northern Ireland during the Troubles as a civilian. So I know what happens when the lid blows off. And I don't know where you're from, Paul. If you're from Northern Ireland or what, I don't really care. But I'm going to tell you something now. If you want to carry out violence, you're not going to do it on my channel. Or you're not going to encourage people to do it on my channel. Everybody with any sense on my channel is absolutely against that. And we must do it the way that Martin Luther King Jr. did. And he won. He won peacefully. Yes, he paid with his life, but he won peacefully. And we are facing a civil rights struggle. the people of the United Kingdom, the Christian people of the United Kingdom, basically, you know, we've got to stand up, and we've got to stand up and do it right and do it peacefully. I agree, Rich. Always remain lawful. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. We've got the moral high ground at the minute. We've got the moral high ground. As soon as we get violent, and listen, look what they sent people to prison for last year. If you want to go to prison, or worse, because I don't think it's beyond the possibility that if people started really writing that they would use extreme violence against them. I'm talking about the deep state. Yeah, and Reverend Brett Murphy, again, if you didn't see the stream I did with Reverend Brett Murphy, go into Counter Media and search for it. We did, again, I think it was a 2-hour session, and it was absolutely dynamite. And I'm going to get, if Reverend Brett wants to come back on the show, that is, but I want to get you back on, Brett, because that was a great stream. And I think the more positive Christian input we've got into this movement, the better it's going to work, and the more positive, a more positive outcome that we're going to have. That's, God will prevail if we turn back to him. That is absolutely right. And like I said, when I turn away from him, believe you me, my life falls apart. When I come back to him, God's gracious and merciful and starts putting things back together, and has done in an amazing way. Okay, silent march in every city. Yes, exactly. I'm not sure about the duct tape, because if you've ripped it off, you've got a mustache, it's going to rip your lips off and your beard, isn't it? Maybe some sort of light, tape that you put on a cut. But no, I'm being funny, Sharon. Yes, I think silent marches are powerful, and I think we've got to be vigilant. We've got to be ready that if they do the worst to Tommy and they keep him in, I think we've got to. You see, this is the danger. If we don't have it in an organized way where people in each town and city take control and say this is going to be a peaceful, silent protest, that's when you can get the idiots coming in and burning all around them. So this is why the best way of doing it is peaceful, silent protest in massive numbers, and it will grow and grow and grow, because when people see injustice, sooner or later they've got to stand up. Frog tape. Yes, frog tape. Takes balls to stand up to total, but there's no point in kneeling down to total. I agree. There's no point in kneeling down. And that's why, what I'm doing is basically standing up, and I've put my face out there. I've put my neck on the line. I've been in very dangerous situations in the past 8 years, walking into a Hamas demonstration on my own in 2021. Speaker's Corner, when there was a mob of actual jihadists in there, went in with about 15 other lads. So I've done all that, and never once has anything got really violent. Okay, apart from one occasion, but only on one occasion was there any violence, and that was we were attacked. It wasn't us attacking other people. We were attacked. So you can do it peacefully. Nick Tenconi's doing it. Nick Tenconi's doing the protests up and down the country. And again, the violence is only coming from one side. It's only coming from the left. See, when Nick goes and does something, the people with him aren't doing anything violent. It's the left that are coming and perpetrating violence. Do you know what, Paul? That's really worrying. When people are saying I'm the voice of reason, we've got a real problem. We've got a real problem if I'm the voice of reason, brother. But I take that as a huge compliment, and I thank you for that. Oh man, what's this one? Who's dealing with this properly? Not the protesting and not this protesting and talking bots. Well, what do you suggest, Lincolnshire Templar? What do you suggest? Oh man, Nick Tenconi is an agitator. Yes, that could certainly be said. But do we not need agitators at the minute? I think we probably do. Silent protest goes nowhere. Where's it got you so far? Take a leaf from the French. They haven't lost their ass. Okay, Jesse, go to France then. We must never, ever bend the knee to totalitarian system, never bend the knee to lose our country. People say far right thugs. It's actually far left. So absolutely, yeah. That's absolutely true. By the way, I'm going to have to go in about 5 minutes, guys, and I was going to be late for this meeting. Okay, we'll start wrapping this up, guys. Thanks so much for everybody who's come on. Yeah, exactly. Nick's never used. He's never used violence. Never used violence. Someone is. I know where you're coming from, non-violent procedures, but I really don't think it will work. It will work against this government. I hope I'm wrong, and you're right, but that's in front of us. Well, look, I mean, the reality is, I just won't be getting involved in any violence, because the truth is, I've seen where it goes. I've seen what happens, and you know, Sam, you're in Northern Ireland. I would imagine you got an Ulster flag there. You know where it goes as well. So I think we've got to don't forget. Well, it's dried up a bit here in Bangor. So, guys, I'm going to shoot off. Thanks everyone for jumping on there. Great stream. It's, you know, it's always good to get on here and chat to everybody. Some really good comments. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the comments disagreeing with me. Thanks for the comments agreeing with me. Everybody's voice is equal. Let's say, you know, the red lines on here. I won't have anti-Semitism. I won't have racism. I won't have hatred of individual people or groups of people. We just won't have that on the platform. But I think having these debates is good, and talking about this sort of stuff is really good, because it gives everybody that comes on here has got a voice, as long as they stick by the rules. Again, I'm not a free speech absolutist on my channel. I am pretty much with everything else, but not on the channel. So guys, I'm going to shoot off. Thanks for tuning in. Let's do it all again soon, and let's hope that there isn't a problem here that's gonna mean that Tommy ends up staying in prison, because that would be a disaster for everybody concerned. Well, guys, listen, thanks for watching, and I'm going to end the stream there, and I'll see you all next time. All the best now.